Alright, Djans, today we have a very different type of video. I am with Colin, we just ended Nationals, and this is his gold foil. But what makes this video very different is for the first time ever, this spicy tech deck is going to be revealed to the world. And if you stay towards the end, you'll see exactly what it is that Colin did in order to bring down the Nationals, become runner-up, win this sweet, sweet legendary gold foil with the Iris of Reality. So, Colin, let's begin with this. What made you choose Enigma to begin with?
Okay, so I think when we were looking around the meta, right, what is prominent in the meta at the moment? How do you fight the other decks and so on? I know Zen is one of the top tier decks at the moment, but let's put that aside for the day. So that one usually this deck is supposed to kind of take quite a big L to it, but otherwise this deck is able to compete and beat the rest of the entire meta decks, including KO, Kano, Nu, basically almost everything else except for Dash IO and Z. So
And just so you guys know, Colin actually paired against Zen in the quarterfinals and actually won. Okay, so I'm very excited. So let's begin with the core deck.
Yep.
And what typically is always in.
Okay, so look for these decks. Let's just say that you are fighting Guardian matchups or certain other prolonged matchups where you want to just spam aura. So I think that the biggest thing is looking at a lot of decks' weaknesses is that they don't actually have action points. Say for example like Guardians or Nu, or where they need to dagger, and then one large attack. So what you want essentially the deck's trying to do, right, is to force them into using the daggers to be attacking the Spectras and things like that. So one of the main focus of this deck as Iris is to put as much Spectra out on the board to overwhelm my opponent. Because with Iris, you are basically just pitching a blue for 4.
And this would be Iris, right? You're trying to pitch a blue to attack with 4. Okay.
Yeah. So one of the interesting thing when I first saw this set is this Meridian Pathways. I used to be one of the old Prism players. So one of those joys is to just spam so much aura that your opponent is having a hard time to clear them. So we were trying to pair this. So one of the way how this ability here, you may play auras distant as though they were instant. So what happens once you transcend, you can actually, if you already set up haste bending and things like that in your arsenal, you can actually play 2 to 3 auras at one turn. By pitching one of the transcend cards, you can play as many of your Spectras out. So essentially, usually the haste bending, shimmers, pierce reality. Anytime they even drop any of your non-token Spectra cards, you actually get a Spectra Shield. So with your Spectra Shield, with a blue, it's always a 4 attack.
Yep. And because of this.
Yes.
Yep. Alright.
Yep.
So how many Spectras are you playing?
Okay. So Spectras, I play 3 haste, 3 shimmers, 2 passing, and 2 pierce reality. This is usually not included in the Enigma decks.
Yep.
It's not great for the usual Cosmo variants. It's usually haste bending and shimmers, but this variant you need to utilize this Spectra. So usually when you have shimmers on board, you can always use like pierce reality to just be attacking, and this has a +1 counter. Opponent is forced to really, if you don't deal with it, it's growing bigger and bigger. And with pierce reality, you can actually combo it with things like Miraging, Phantasmaclasm. A +2, Miraging would essentially come for 9. And if you even pop the Miraging, because of Phantasm, you can actually copy another Spectra. This is essentially what you want. So one of the main focus usually people play Enigma is concentrating on Manifestation. My deck, Manifestation is not the greatest card in the Iris build because you don't get value from your +1 counter and what is. At most you're coming in attacking for 6 with your Iris. It works better in the Cosmo build, which I will explain the Cosmo build shortly. So what this deck is supposed to do is just overwhelm with so many ward cards as well as Spectra. Your opponent is without much action points is forced to make a choice. Do I attack the hero to clear the Spectra, or do I go, to clear the ward, or do I go for the Spectra? If you clear either one, you have another one to attack as well. Blue coming for 4, blue coming for 4.
Yep.
And then you can always finish up with big, large attacks, Phantasmaclasm, Miraging, Battlefront, CNCs, East Right.
I see.
Yeah.
And is there a specific Spectra that you feel is more important than another, or they like kind of equally similar?
They are very different. So what's very important is this haste bending and Shimmers. These two combo itself is
Yep.
broken. Shimmers always have +1. It's like a time
Shimmers,
bomb on
yeah.
its own. And haste
It is
bending.
bending. Yeah. So typically, do you feel that it worked in your favor that when you played these auras, people, because they don't have much practice into this build, so they're like in a dilemma, right? Like, should I clear the aura and then end my turn? Did that happen a lot this weekend?
Yes. Actually, so while fighting, I had some experience like while fighting certain moves, they decided to just, go ahead and attack the face.
Yep.
Rather
Yep.
than, try to clear it.
Yeah.
So, 1 is okay. 2 is getting, okay, maybe I can still handle it later. Once
Yeah.
it comes to 3 or 4, there comes a big dilemma. Now it's growing larger and larger. Now I don't have action points coming for damage. So that is the biggest spice in this deck to utilize and abuse the Spectra option.
Nice. Okay, so would you what's always in the main deck, and then like let's go to the. Do you want to begin with this main equipments first, or do you want to go with the main? Yeah.
But before
Yeah.
I go there,
Yep.
maybe the way how we designed this deck was actually not specifically how you fix the full main board.
Okay.
It's actually it's made flexible that you can actually go either way. You don't lose much compared to the Cosmo variant. You still have most of the other cards that's like waxing, waning, the attacks. You can still go for it. You can go for the big miraging. You've got no lag in that. So it's designed in a way to be so flexible. You can choose how you want to approach those matchups. So for example, things like new, things like Guardians, slower matchups essentially, you go for the Iris build. You overwhelm them with the board. So how the main board would then be the Spectras, the blues, and this class. Phantasmaclasm, usually you take out, when you are fighting things like brutes and things like that, because you don't really get much value in those.
Right.
But against Guardians and all, you play this just so that you can counter the arm muscle and also win.
There were times when I was playing KO and this was played against me, and then my blood rush goes down. Do you always typically take it out against brutes?
Most of the time, yes. I don't
Okay.
value that. I think against brutes, especially, right? Talking about all brutes, you look at Rhina, you look at Levaya, you look at KO. I would go for the Iris blade. At the same time, the sideboard also has gamblers at the same time. It's designed to make your opponent make bad decisions. That's essentially how about it. You need to roll in order to clear the auras.
I see. Okay. And miraging, is this because of Phantasm? Do you still play it since it's gonna copy the aura anyway,
Yes.
and it puts them in a dilemma? Yeah.
It's actually what I really want is for people to break the Phantasm.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
the value of a haste and
Correct.
shimmers on the board
Yes.
is so massive.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't block it, you have to take 7 damage. It's
Yeah.
really extremely 1 for 7 really good card.
And do you feel that does this happen often where you're playing against a brute or guardian, and they actually pop it because they don't actually know how severe that thing is? Does that happen
Quite
often?
Quite
Yeah.
often.
It's quite often.
If you haven't really gone, like those early Prism days,
Yeah.
sometimes they may pop it. And
Yeah.
how it combos well is also big. Where with the Enigma ability, your Spectra shield is 1 less. So with an Iris, when you attack, it basically costs 2.
Yeah.
You have another resource open to play your Miraging. So it combos actually pretty well with it as well.
Yeah.
Without waiting for your tunic turn, etc.
Okay, we'll put this back in here. Okay, so what should we cover next?
Okay, maybe let me discuss about how the blues and all were even designed. It's actually done in a way, right, with maybe a little bit of Nu in mind, a little bit of Azalea in mind, and how do you block things as well. So if you see things like levels of enlightenment, this is always good in most matchups. It's a very good blue that enables to sunset, very big attack, draw cards, very flexible, blocks for 3 as well. one of the issue is when you are fighting Nu, this is not the greatest card you want to have in the deck. So it's designed so that it's so flexible, right? You can actually switch around and you have really functioning blues like snacks and things like that. So this against Nu, you really wreck the whole turn. Just a nick and everything becomes one. Venomous Strike, you basically counters those. Ripple Away as well, Codexes and things like that. Ripple Away also works against things like Guardians, where you visit, you want to create goal and things like that. And especially an action card, this you don't get the goal out of it. You don't get the draw card. So this will really swing a lot of matchups.
Because they don't get they don't get to draw a card.
Yes,
I see.
Because they cannot create the goal, they cannot draw the card.
Right.
And might is also reduced by 1.
And goals at all. Wow. Okay. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also against Azalea, when you have Codex, you have things like Blood Rod, you have Inertia. And when it's already the dominated attack anyway, so this helps more for the matchup. So it's kind of a functioning blues and all. And because most people are unfamiliar against this matchup, so what people usually do is they go for the unpreventable damage against this deck. Because you expect waxing and things like that, but if you go for unpreventable damage things, right, that's not much because it is all you're going for the Spectra. And because Azaleas usually do not send more than 2 arrows. A lot of the arrows are really big attacks, so they are forced to decide, do you really want to waste your arrows on these small Spectras, or go against a hero? That's how the deck is flexible enough to be going however you want to build it. You can go the Cosmo path. There's no weakness in that because you also have your Vambrace against things like mirror matchups and things like that. And Vambrace is actually a very key card in the dash matchup as well.
Oh.
Yeah, because you actually want a 0 cost armor you can block without breaking any of the equipment.
I see. Yeah. Right.
And actually, it can block 1. So with a tunic, you can just have 1. It's better than nothing. Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's no real weakness in matchups. You're able to fight dash. With dash, usually you flip out things around. Usually the things like you really want ward, you really want to go against like Zen and things like that, you'll be taking out things like the Spectra cards. These 4.
Because it's easy for them to clear it. It's like
because you won't.
they'll just end it with like a 1-2 damage and then end with it.
Yeah, you won't really go much value in this. This is for the really prolonged matchups. For those you really want to go for your Cosmo build, your standard Cosmo build, going for Waxing, Wrestlers, those kind of combo, then you end up with things like Battlefront Lesson, Miraging, or Phantasmaclasm. Those decks usually don't have much purpose in mind. Usually it's maybe 3C and Cs and so on. So a 3 for 9 is really big value.
Yep.
At the same time, you do have a very good set of D-Reacts against KO, against Brutes, against cards that essentially do Art of War and things like that. You do have your full set of Hold the Lights. Against really big call decks, you have Unmovable as well. And then you have your standard package of Sing, Fate and so on. So that you are able to just build up, like KO going big into you just block out everything, play 1 hit banding, block out everything, play the Shimmers. Then they start feeling the pressure from there, like, what do I do? Do I roll? Do I, that creates the dilemma for them. That's how the deck designed to, just go a longer matchup, prolong the thing, and at the same time you can actually do very huge damage. It's not a very slow deck. So what I did once was turn 0, my opponent started first. I managed to double transcend on the turn 0 against Azalea after his arrows. So there are 2 Spectra Shield tokens with +1 counters. And then with the G, you create another one. During my turn, I managed to do 23 damage from them.
Wow.
So I got 4 blues, 3 blues and 1 Miraging. Pitch 1 blue, 5 attack each of the shields because it has a +1 counter. 5, 5, 5, 7.
You ended the quarterfinals with a 41-0 against Nu. Right? Tell us, what do you feel is your top 3 best matchups and your top 3 worst ones? What would you say they are?
Okay. Best matchups. Okay, this is going to be sound a bit funny because I actually lost to one of my best matchups in finals. Guardian is actually one of the best matchups because they don't really have go against. So I would always say that, but I lost that in finals. So taking a pinch of salt. Nu is usually one of your favorite matchups as well. Basically, essentially assassins.
Assassins, all right.
And
How does it fare against warriors?
Warriors is also your favorite matchup because
Oh, wow,
Warriors
okay.
like Dorinthia, you can't really put much counters on Dawnblade. The heavy D reacts at the same time when they don't have much action points go against and all, they have a very hard time clearing the Spectra. You are usually quite favored against them. Also, one of the interesting is my previous deck I took an auto loss against Kano, so I came to this tournament saying that I am never losing to Kano again.
Okay, nice.
So maybe one of the fun things about that matchup is I do have AB3.
Okay.
I run 38 blues, and I'm not using wards to be attacking them. I will put a Shimas down
I see.
and start
And
attacking
attack
Shimas.
kicking.
So how you play against Kano? One of the match I had yesterday was your Spectras attack. Are you blocking or not? Unless you have Scour in your top card or you are going to have a hard time clearing this. So once you start blocking this, I know that okay, I can play more things. I can put Vexing, I can put Waning, I can put so many things out. I have wards on board, I can still attack you. So come next turn, these are all still on the board. At the same time, I'm able to play Spectras as an instance because of Meridian Pathways.
Yeah.
I can always put one arsenal. The moment you clear it, I can always play another one out. So that's how the thought process went about this. I'm not taking a loss to most matchups, except for Zen. And Dash IO, the damage is a little bit too much, so it's usually very, very unfavorable against those. But anything else in the meta, you are pretty. If you know how to approach it, especially when people are not aware, you know what should I be doing, how much damage is coming from. It's a deck that has 38 blues, and yet it does quite a hefty punch of damage. That's how the whole design is. That is so flexible that I'm not just going one way. I can do anything I like and manage to fit it all in a 69 card sideboard, 11 card equipment.
Amazing. Okay. Okay. So, what else do you think is required for a person to kind of learn master this deck? Like, how do? What else do you think they should know, or do you think this kind of covers pretty much?
I think you need a lot of match practice against every single deck to know how you should be playing against them. What is your opponent's weak points? For example, like lack of action points, lack of poppers. Then you can actually choose the right route, to go against that. Like huge attacks, or do I put so much extras, create so many shields that you have a hard time clearing? Like for example, Nu, you don't have much damage, dagger one, so you're able to put a lot of spectral shields on board. They can't penetrate through the damage, and their last big attacks you can always use your D-Rex. So that's I think a most important thing is a lot of match practice and understanding which approach you're going for, how thick your deck is, what's your sideboard. For example,
Right.
if you take the wrong choice and go and put these cards in against Nu, you're not going to have a good time.
Yeah. So in terms of sideboarding, would you say that for Spectras, typically the rule of thumb is if you're going against like ninjas, then take them out because it's easy to be cleared by them. Is there any Spectras that you would play against?
I
Ninjas at
think
all?
you would always play the haze banding and Shimas. You need the blue
Okay,
count.
these two.
They'll block two. You'll be taking out this because these are not Spectras that will be useful. In those matchups, you're going to be using Cosmo anyway. So I think the matchup is going to be the same way how you approach it, like big, huge waxing and the focus on Miragai. So these are not essential. You not be taking things like snacks and so on. It's not useful for those matchups. It's all the blues that's able to block 3.
Yep.
That you can really try your best to just throw as much big damage as you can. That's the game plan against those matchups.
So what would you say would be the core cards that is in pretty much nearly every matchup?
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, this deck list that Colin played will be somewhere in the YouTube description if you guys want to go check it out. Yeah.
So these are your sideboards. This is only used when you are using Cosmo. You're not going to be using this
Oh, I
against
see.
Iris.
Spectra. I see.
Yeah,
So,
it's not much value. You're paying 2 for, a ward 3.
I thought it's like a 3 for 7. No, wait, no, that's
No,
Cosmo. Yeah, 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 yeah.
because you're using Iris,
Yeah, yeah.
it's not
Okay.
great. So this is
Yeah.
the sideboard only when you're using Cosmo.
I see.
Yeah.
So that's
Here.
Spectras. Yeah.
This is a one-off sideboard against, really huge potential decks like that goes really tall.
So Azaleas,
Azaleas,
Guardians. Yeah.
Brutes as well.
Okay.
They need to spend time to clear this. This is also part of your sideboard. It's a red block 3. So depends on your matchup.
So there's no red spectral manifestations, right?
No, I don't focus on that because it doesn't really jive with the theme of the deck. When you already have the problem with spectral manifestation is your board has to be cleared for it
Yep.
to actually get the 2
Yes.
plus 1 counters.
Right.
When you have things like haze bending, shimmers,
Yep.
and things like that, you don't get much value and it blocks for 3 and it's a red.
So typically, how do you meet this condition of moving 3 counters over in order to make this happen?
Yes. So one of the easiest way is I wouldn't really say it's easy. Is you need to rely on the transcend cards. One of it is this particular card that's able to put +1 counters.
Oh, that sounds tough too. Like, okay.
You don't always force to get a card out. It's useful when it's out. So I managed to use it to block a full 10 attack before. So it has full value. Or things like your shimmers to restless. All these things you can get a +1 counter. Your hero ability +1 counter as well. You can always also use
Or shimmers to restless, then restless as the thing, as the ender, putting this down to kind of protect
correct.
everything.
Or easiest way, chi to manifestation. It has 4 counters.
Chi to manifestation.
Yeah.
Ooh, and the next champ is here. Okay. Alright, okay, okay.
So it's not as that hard to actually get it out as what people think, but it's a lifesaver when you can really get it out. Sometimes you can actually even hard cast it out. It costs 8, but your deck
Has that ever, do you, like, 1 in 5 games maybe?
maybe 1 in 10, but the
Oh,
1 in
1
10
10.
really swings the whole matchup to your
Okay,
favor.
right, okay, okay. Nice. Anything else we should know, or does this kind of cover it? Anything else you want to be able to mention?
I think it's those play testing against multiple matchups. Maybe really grinding tens, hundreds of even close to hundreds of games against different decks. Against the potential winner Keith earlier as well. The earlier winner. We really tested almost everything. Give credits to, of course, Penjun for hosting so many sessions or testing sessions. Media, everyone helped me to come up with the core list. How do you play it? Understanding, what breaks the meta. So essentially, so what we want to do is really just to break the whole entire meta right now for something that's so relatively unknown and not used to make it work. And I think we managed to kind of prove it to a certain extent.
I see.
That the Iris build is, to me, the build how you really abuse the Meridian pathways, and this is how I build.
Was there any line that you did for the first time at Nets and you're like, oh wow, we can actually do this? Or was it like you've got reps in most things and you didn't really discover anything
I
new?
didn't do anything fun, but one of the plays I did, but this is it's not something very odd with the Iris build. It's something that I did with the manifestation.
Okay.
Manifestation with this was against
So manifestation Miragai, yep.
yeah, Miragai attack with a shimmer on board, so it gets a +1 counter. I play Restless, transfer the whole counter, attack again for 5.
So transfer over.
Yeah, and then another one to attack again, another one for the shield. So you did such a very long chain of huge damage on board.
And ultimately when you transfer everything over, this would be ward 0, right?
Yes, ward 0. So it's those kind of really huge damage that you really need to just force through that, really unfavorable matchups like Zen. You just want to do the huge package of damage. Because generally they won't block you. And if they are blocking you, you're happy because you have threats on board. The whole concept of the deck is, to be honest, you don't really look at your life. You look at your board presence, how you build your board presence that you want overwhelm people on the board. I've been in a very unique situation where, my opponent was at 38 life. I was down to 6. But I had things like 2 shimmers, 3 haze bending and things like that. and I managed to survive the game. I won the game in the end.
Nice.
But it was an Iris build against a Levaya in the end. So I have very very fun ways of maneuvering across the matchups.
Okay. Anything in conclusion? We're gonna end the video. Anything else you would like the viewers to know?
Try it out. Let me know if it works. And hopefully I get to push the deck another step further. You try and see, and maybe we get to see more during Amsterdam.
All right, guys. I know this is not the typical kind of videos that we shoot. This is not a degen video. Let me know if you like these sort of videos. It could be a total flop. We'll find out. Thank you, Colin, so much for revealing your best secrets to us.
No problem.
Awesome.
Thanks all.
All right.